joined by Sarah Lombard, the head women's basketball coach at Hartwick College. Coach, how are you doing today? And thank you very much for your time.
I'm doing really well, Gavin. Thank you. Very excited to be here with you.
Yeah. So your team's season began on Friday. Your team, took the loss against SUNY Cobleskill. But can you just tell me about, how you felt like this, opening game went for your team? Your team was up after the first quarter and then had a, tough second quarter. So just tell me overall, how you felt this game went and what was it like for, your season to begin last Friday?
Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, obviously we took an L for that first game, but overall I'm extremely happy with the way we played. If you've taken a look at our roster, we are very young. We have one senior and one junior.
Okay.
So we are very heavy in the sophomore and freshman presence. And given that we played a team with six seniors, five juniors, and two D1 transfers, and it was around a 7 point game around the 5 minute mark, I was thrilled. I think after that, kind of our youth took over and we didn't have the on court presence that we were looking to finish out the game with. But overall, I couldn't have asked the women to do anything more. Every single thing they did defensively was things we've been working on. So definitely a plus for us to start off on such a positive note. I mean, that Cobleskill team returned almost everyone from last year, and they had a record-setting season with 25 plus wins. So definitely knew we were going to have our hands full, but again, couldn't be prouder of the way we came out and fought and battled the entire game.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Even though the result was not what you would have hoped for, great. It's glad to hear, that you could take away some positives, from your team's, opening game.
Definitely.
So Friday and Saturday, your team and Oneonta will host the Oneonta and Hartwick Classic at Lambros Arena. Your team will play, Friday at 8 p.m. against Hamilton College and then 3 p.m. against Rochester. So can you tell me a little bit about, this tournament, hosting with Oneonta and just, having it at Lambros Arena? I believe that's your team's home arena. So can you just tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about this, classic?
definitely. So this is only the second year that Coach Thompson and I have been doing this crosstown tournament. For those that don't know, Hartwick is located in Oneonta, New York, and we have one road separates SUNY Oneonta and Hartwick College. So
Okay.
it's almost a cross the street rivalry, but we'll call it a crosstown rivalry. And with us to be able to have not only that rivalry, but really work together in a lot of aspects, host this home tournament. We will be the host this year, and then it'll go back to SUNY next year. And it's just a way for us to bring more people to the area. And as you can tell, it's a high quality tournament. You have representation from the top leagues in the Northeast, us coming from the Empire 8, Oneonta coming from the SUNYAC, Hamilton coming from the NESCAC and University of Rochester in the UAA. Those are all very high quality leagues. So definitely happy about the quality of teams that we're bringing in, and it'll be some high quality events this weekend.
Yeah. And having this, at your home arena, it'll be at Lambos Arena. So tell me, what will it be like, to have this tournament at your home arena? Can you just tell me about your home arena, Lambros Arena?
Yeah, so Lambros Arena is named after the legendary Nick Lambros, who was the men's basketball coach here for decades.
Okay.
He is still ever present. He was in the front row of the bleachers for our game last weekend, and we know he'll be there and supporting everyone this weekend. But to have such an icon who did so much, not only for Hartwick College, but the basketball programs, and have him still giving back to the program, even just in his presence alone, tells you a lot about Hartwick College and that family aspect that we have here, which is definitely a perk. But my expectation for the games for the weekend is to always bring an energetic crowd, and hopefully we give our best effort and we'll come out with on top this weekend.
Yeah. And I noticed you're going to play in your home tournament this weekend. Then at the end of November, you'll play in Castleton's tournament in Vermont. So I'm interested to know, playing in two tournaments this season. Do you use these, tournaments as ways to prepare for obviously the Empire 8 tournament at the end of February? Or do you just take these tournament games, as their own and you don't use them as, ways to prepare for the Empire 8 tournament in
It's
February?
Yeah, it's definitely a way to prepare for the tournament, the league tournament.
Yeah.
But our league also plays back to back. So we are used to playing Friday, Saturday games. So
Okay.
by implementing that schedule in the preseason, it gets us ready for that when we actually start our league games at the beginning of January. We
Mhm.
jump right in the first weekend of January and we go Friday, Saturday every weekend through January,
Mhm.
plus a handful of midweek games. So it's quite a transition for the women and their bodies. They're not used to playing that many minutes back to back with very little recovery time. So
Yeah.
I believe getting them used to that early on is going to help us later on down the road.
Yeah, definitely playing, a game Friday 8 p.m. and then a Saturday game at 3 p.m. Definitely not much time for recovery in between that. But
Yeah, definitely.
so coach, you mentioned you have a young team this season. Let's talk about your team, in your first game. On Friday you were led by Macy Durkin, sophomore from Syracuse. She led your team in several categories like points, steals, and rebound. But can you just tell me about your team, touch on your roster and just tell me about any, notable players you want to, talk about that are on your roster. Just tell me how your
Definitely.
team, looks for the season.
Sounds good. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we only have one senior, Daniela DBAce.
Okay.
Daniela is our captain. She is our leader. And you can tell that both on the court and off the court. She's a tremendous young woman who does all the right things. She's been with me all 4 years that I've been here. So it's been an unbelievable time getting to know Daniela. Unfortunately, she tore her ACL in her freshman year, which ended her season
Mhm.
short in January. And since then, she has taken the recovery process after her surgery and just hit the ground running and became an unbelievable leader with and really the groundwork of our culture is surrounded by Daniela because of the expectation that she has not only for herself but for our teammates really echoes that of our coaching staff. And I think that the women see how dedicated she is, and it's more of a lead by example at that point. So she kind of sets the tone for us. And then we have a first year transfer who's actually a junior. Her name is Emma Cohen. She is a junior transfer from Buff State. In our first two scrimmages, Emma had immediately made her mark, and she did that again on Friday night when we were playing Skill. Came out in the end of the game and really knocked down some big threes for us to continue to stay in the game. And she's definitely been a huge addition and immediately made an impact on the team.
Mhm.
So then we go down to our sophomore class and we return three sophomores. Macy Durkin, who you just mentioned, will be one of our go to players. You already named all her stats, but she can do a little bit of it all. She can score from the outside, she can take people off the dribble. She's a tenacious defender. So definitely built that sophomore class kind of around her and Yadi Smith. Yadi is a sophomore point guard. She's from the Poughkeepsie area. Excuse me. Her family now lives down in North Carolina, so it's become quite a trip for her. But we have already seen how much more Yadi can give to us this year. I think as a first year, she was a little timid and now is understanding her role and our expectations of her. So I'm really excited to see how she leads us from that point guard position. And hopefully she really takes over that role and becomes our floor general.
Great. Coach, can you tell me about Hartwick College? You mentioned your Division III school in the Empire 8, and you're located in Oneonta, New York. But can you just tell me a little bit about your college?
Yeah, so Hartwick College has a unbelievable tradition, both academically and athletically.
Mhm.
We used to have Division I men's soccer and water polo.
Okay.
Men's soccer won a national championship. So there's definitely a rich tradition here at
Mhm.
Hartwick. And I think one of the biggest things that I connected the most with here is that family atmosphere. I told you about our game last Friday night. the gym was packed. It was an unbelievable atmosphere that you don't typically
Mhm.
get with a lot of women's Division III basketball games. And for us to have that community involvement, not only on the campus community, but in the city as well. We do a lot of work with the Boys and Girls Club. So we have a lot of involvement from the youth program there. And I think that really drives a lot of our fan base.
That's awesome. So coach, so obviously, this weekend you're going to be hosting your home tournament with Oneonta, and then Tuesday at 6 p.m. at your home arena, you'll be playing Oneonta. So what do you think it'll be like, next Tuesday to play Oneonta after, hosting your home tournament, with them?
Yeah, so typically we open up with Oneonta, and just due
Mhm.
to scheduling, we had to move that game back a little bit. So it's going to be a
Okay.
little bit of a different scenario for us.
Yep.
Typically, we both go into that first game kind of blind, not really knowing what the other one is going to do exactly. But now we're both going to have a few games under our belt. We're going to have some film to scout each other with. But as always, I expect it to be a tough, gritty game, always going down to the wire, and really just, again, building on that crosstown
Mhm.
rivalry, and feeding off of it.
Yeah. So coach, you've been the head women's basketball coach at Hartwick since 2021. So what did it mean to you when you were named, the head coach at Hartwick in 2021? And just how have the past, few years at Hartwick, how have they been for you?
Yeah, so uh, becoming a head coach was always the plan. I was the head coach for about 4 years before this at another institution. Took a step backwards and went back to being an assistant, and really took the time to find the right fit for me. And I feel like Hartwick has really checked all those boxes. It's been an unbelievable transition. I feel greatly welcomed here.
Mhm.
And I think there's just so many things about Hartwick that fit with my personality. Yes, we're a private school, yet I would say we're a blue collar private school. These kids don't come from the 1%. They're all workers. They're hard nosed kids that are going to really put in the work to get better and grind. And to me, that's really what it's all about. We're here to get a great education, have fun, and get better at basketball, hopefully win some championships. But in the long run, I'm trying to develop young women into successful people in our community, and really giving back across the board. So to see what our graduates are doing after they leave here, I think is a big part of what Hartwick basketball is all about, and the culture and tradition that we're trying to build here.
Mhm. Coach, can you tell me about your assistant coach, Carol Lee Pierce? I believe you hired her prior to last season. So can you
Yep.
just tell me about her and how she helps you out as your assistant?
Yeah, definitely. Carolee actually goes by CP.
Okay.
So she's been a great addition. She brings energy on a daily basis. She's fantastic with all of the extra things that go on, behind the scenes as well as on the court. She has the ability to connect with the women, and I think that she has the ability to get a lot out of them because she takes the time to connect with them on personal levels. They feel like they can go to her with anything. I feel like CP has a huge upside. She is a basketball junkie. She wants to be here. She wants to be learning. She wants to teach. So I think CP has a huge, bright
Mhm.
future again for herself.
Yeah. So coach, let's go back to the beginning for you. You're from Saratoga Springs, New York. You attended Saratoga Springs High School. So can you just tell me about growing up there, playing in high school, and just tell me about some of your earliest, basketball memories?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm the daughter of a basketball coach. It's in my blood. People say I never really had an option. So just kidding. My dad is a coach. He loves the sport, and I grew up in the gym. I mean, the youngest memories of I have are in a basketball gym, watching him coach the boys teams when I was younger, or him playing when he was younger. So it's really been a life that not a whole lot of people get to live, but to grow up in a gymnasium and around the sport has been such a unique path for myself. My dad is actually one of our assistant coaches. He's a volunteer on our roster. So to have that ability to not only get to for him to kind of show me the ropes growing up, and now to have that second hand and have him on our staff, it really is a unique experience. And I think growing up in a place like Saratoga really solidified the ability to have a family and be able to coach. So that's definitely something that's been important and ingrained through my upbringing, is how important that family aspect is.
So coach, for college, you attended Oswego State. You played in two NCAA tournaments, and you won the 2006 SUNYAC Championship. So can you just tell me about your, college career at Oswego and, these accolades, like playing in, two NCAA tournaments, and winning the
Yeah,
2006 SUNYAC Championship?
yeah, it was an unbelievable ride. My 4 years at Oswego were great. I wouldn't change it for the world. Some of my best friends I met there. And we had a terrific 4 years on the basketball court. That's for sure. We set a lot of records, had a lot of fun, won a lot of games. But I think that the most memorable for me are the relationships that I built with my teammates and the memories that we have together. So that's definitely a perk. And I look forward to my days of going back to Oswego and competing with them.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I have a lot of memories, and it was really fun. So after Oswego, then you got your first coaching position as an assistant coach at RPI. So first off, what drew you to become a college coach, and just how was your, first coaching position at RPI?
Yeah. So I always knew I wanted to coach.
Okay.
Right after I graduated college, I tried to do the whole pro route in Europe. And while I was trying to pursue that, I actually ended up reaching out to John Green at RPI, where I grew up, was only about 30 minutes away from there. And I knew he was looking for some help. So I reached out to him, sent him an email introducing myself. And I said, I'm not really sure if you remember me, but we played against you when I was at Oswego. He wrote back and said, of course, I remember you, and we would love to have you help. So I owe a lot to John.
That's always great, to be remembered. So then after RPI, you received your first head coaching position at Bard College in 2010. What did it mean to you to receive your first head coaching position at Bard College? And you were there for a few years. So, what did you learn from, leading the Bard program for a few years?
Yeah. So when I got that job, I was 22 years old.
Okay.
And it was the dream job. I wanted my own program. I wanted to be a head coach. And it was an unbelievable experience. And it really helped shape the coach I became. I think I learned a lot, both positive and negative, about how to run a program, how to recruit, how to do all these things. Bard is a different school. It's very different from any of the other institutions that I've coached at, but it definitely helped shape me for my future. And without that, it always takes somebody to take a chance on a coach to give them their first head coaching job. So I'm forever grateful for Bard for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah. You mentioned you were 22 when you got your first head coaching position. Obviously, that's very young. Most people at 22 are just graduating college.
Yeah.
So at 22, when you got your first head coaching position at Bard, did you feel prepared, or were you, like pretty nervous or unsure, going into your first head coaching position, at 22?
Yeah. When I took the job, I thought I was ready. I thought I was prepared. And I think that everyone learns you're never really fully prepared. There's
Yeah.
always something new coming up.
Yeah.
In this profession, it's not
Mhm.
just about the X's and O's.
Mhm.
Coaching is about so much more that you don't really get educated for.
Mhm.
It's the daily issues that come up with 18 to 22-year-old women. It is the things that go on behind the scenes. Nobody really teaches you how to manage a $80,000 budget, things like that. You really have to learn on the fly. And I think that's part of the growing experience and really learning how to do it your own way.
Mhm.
I think coaches would say a lot that this isn't a profession of reinventing the wheel. We take things from others and try to tweak them and make them work for your own way. And I think that a lot of what I learned throughout the beginning of my career, I learned at Bard.
Mhm.
And it definitely was a time for me to grow as an individual and as a coach.
Mhm.
So it's definitely the basis of my coaching career came there. So it's definitely an area that I have a lot of love for.
Yeah. So then after, being the head coach at Bard, you returned to RPI for a second time, as assistant coach for 6 seasons. So just tell me about returning to RPI and, how that was for you.
Yeah. So I actually had a 1 year stint in between Bard and going back to RPI, and I was an
Okay.
assistant at Hamilton College for
Okay.
1 year. I went out there with my college head coach, Michelle Collins. At that point, I was really considering getting out of coaching.
Okay.
And my coach, along with some of my biggest mentors, sat down with me and really got it through my head that I'd be crazy to walk away at this point.
Yeah.
They made me understand how the coaching world works and that all of the hard work that I had put in was about to pay off. So Michelle talked me into giving it another go and brought me out and got on board with her staff for the year. Without that, I probably wouldn't be in coaching. So that's
Mhm.
why I feel like I have to mention that year and what she did for me and really reinvigorating my love and my passion for the game. So after that, again, going back to RPI, John Green, who I said I owe a ton to as well,
Mhm.
he found a way to create a dual position for me. And that's how I was able to go back there. Again, my family is about 25-30 minutes away from RPI. So it got me to be closer to my nieces and nephews and my family. So that was a big plus for me. Plus, one of the things that I love the most about John is that he is open to any and every bit of input. And he really allowed me to go from being a head coach and not going back to being an assistant. He really looked at me and considered me an equal, or he would refer to me as his associate head coach. And to me, that's one of the biggest signs of respect from your peers. So being able to go back to RPI for that second stint, the 6 years include COVID and all of that surrounded it. So I was really only there for 3 seasons if you get rid of the COVID years and all of that. But the ability to go back and really explode my network in that time and really gave me the ability to grow not only as a coach but as a professional. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that I got from
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. So coach, you have talked a lot, about, learning throughout your coaching career. You have several years of coaching experience. So, what are some of the main things you have learned, throughout your coaching career that has, helped you the most?
I think one of the biggest things is if
Mhm.
I expect the team to want to get better and learn, I have to do the same thing. So I am a huge reader. I think keeping an open mind and getting feedback
Mhm.
from people across the board, our men's staff, our assistants, for other friends and coaching friends, they give a lot of feedback. And I think in order to continue to stay up with the times, you have to be willing to adjust. And it's a different team every single year, and how you communicate and how you connect with them changes. And sometimes that does that on a daily basis.
Mhm.
But I think that in order to continue moving forward, you've got to keep rolling with the punches
Mhm.
and not
Yeah.
get stagnant in your ways.
Mhm. So coach, given, your several years of coaching experience, what have been some of your favorite memories and just overall, how special, is coaching to you?
I mean, coaching is everything to me.
Mhm.
I think that coaching is one of the most undervalued professions. Um, and the number one reason why I coach, obviously, I love the game of basketball, but to be able to influence young women from the ages of usually 18 to 22, I think that's the most transformative time in their lives. And to be a part of that and to see them grow from the first day that they're on campus or even in the recruiting process to then graduating, it's just an unbelievable feeling to know that you've played a part in that.
Yeah.
And within our program and our culture, we talk about the bigger picture a lot. It's not just about basketball. It's not just about this one thing or the other thing. It's about everything all together. And for us, we want to be helping develop young women who are going to really contribute to this world. And for us, we see that in the high GPAs and the different degrees that our players are graduating with.
So two more things I wanted to talk about, Coach. First, I've talked with Sarah Cartmel, the head coach at St. John Fisher, another Empire 8 school. So can you tell me about, the Empire 8? I've heard some great things about it. Can you tell me about your conference, just some of the teams that you play against in your conference?
Yeah. So yes, we are the Empire 8, but we are now made up of 12 different schools. We just
Okay.
added 3 SUNY schools. And I think that's going to just increase the competitive level even more. Typically, excuse me, in the past, we've only brought 6 teams to the league tournament. With the addition of these 3 more, we're now upping that to 8.
Oh,
And I
that's
think
great.
that really is a clear picture of how competitive this league really is. So in order to excel, not only do you need to compete in non-league games, but you really have to take every league game seriously. And
Yeah.
the difference between the top and our bottom of our league really is not that drastic.
Yeah. And finally, Coach, I always on this question, but for you, what do you enjoy most about being a college coach?
Overall, I think the thing that I like the most is the kids, and working with this group is on a daily basis. They make me laugh. They're just such a good group. They really work hard, and for me, coaching is all about helping progress them, not just in basketball but in life. And I see that kind of work its way through as they develop. So as they're completely different individuals in the recruiting process than they are when they're seniors and graduating and going into the workforce. So to know that we're able to use the game of basketball and help them use that game to develop their beliefs and their ethics, it really shows me that we're doing something right.